Welcome back. This is step 2 of the Inventor project. We've decided to skip the Lego 2018 sample and go to a camera 2018 example. We created the camera project in exactly the same file format that we did the Lego version. If you double click on Lego, it's going to move to that project and you're only going to be able to save to this project file. That's why you want to be on the file project choice when you're working on any parts, assemblies, drawings, or presentations. We're ready to start a new part. Again, I never start from here because occasionally it starts up wrong. We want to go new, but make sure we're not in English but metric, and pick the standard millimeter part. We're now ready to begin because we have our part file up and open. To make a camera, you need to know what one looks like. So we've gone to Google, and we found one, downloaded it, and brought it directly into our file folder so it's available for us right in the same project folder. Double clicking on that will open it up, and you can adjust your screen size so you can still see the numbers. If you get too small, it gets too shrinky, so let's leave it up about that side. I'm going to move it over to this hand side. I'm going to go back to Inventor. Remember that Alt-Tab will flash back and forth between your current screen and the previous screen you were working on. So it's an easy way to switch back and forth, toggling between the two. We are ready to start our camera. So we're going to start a new 3D model. Choose 2D sketch. Pick one of the 3 planes available, in which case I usually pick XY plane because that gives us the front view. And that tends to be where you want to start from a project. I would go to the rectangle, go to a 2-point center rectangle, as opposed to the other options that are available, including some things that are not very rectangular at all. All right, and we want to start by making a box. It doesn't even matter how big your box is, because we're going to change that box. We need to Alt-Tab, check the size of our box, and in here it says our camera, looking at it from the front, is going to be 100 wide, 50 and 10 high. So there's a 10 and a 50 just off the corner of your screen there. Hope that shows on your screen. 60 by 100. Come back to our drawing, Alt-Tab, and we're going to throw a dimension on this line. And we want it to be 100. 100 millimeters. And this line, we're going to dimension, and we wanted it to be 60. 60, 6, 0, 60. Right. The lines you see here are purple, and that's because purple is perfect. If you've got green lines, that's okay. But for this project, purple means perfect, and that means that they're fully constrained. The dashed lines you see going across the corners, the way they're connected in the corners, the dimensions all add to the way that this thing's been constrained. If we exit that dimension command, grab those things and delete them, it is still a rectangle that's 100 by 60, but it has turned from purple to green, meaning that it is still a rectangle. It's just not as perfect a rectangle as it was before because it's not fully constrained. Okay, finishing the sketch right here, and then zooming in so we can see the entire project. Relocate it somewhere useful on your screen, come up to the orbiter and right click on it and set this current view as your fixed distance home. That means it will always come back to here. So if you shrink it too far and send it flying off screen to the right and go, where's my project? You can always hit the home button and back it will come. Okay, and moving on now, we want to extrude to make this 2D project into a 3D project. Alt-Tab takes us back to here to see how thick it is. 15 and 15 equals 30. So we are going to extrude at 30. And there's our basic camera shape. The next thing we want to do is perhaps create a lens on the front of it, a 50 diameter lens. And so we would take this front surface and create a lens off of that. You will either right click on it and hit New Sketch, or left click on it and choose New Sketch, or come up to the Start 2D Sketch, click on that, and then choose your surface. Any one of those 3 ways will get you there. Drawing a circle is as simple as choosing circle command, finding the center, dragging it out, typing in 50. We have a 50. Finish the sketch. You have a sketch on that surface which you can now extrude. And I believe we wanted a 30. That's it. Okay. Fast lens created. Looks just like this one. Okay. Oops. Correction. It said 20. 20 right here, not 30. My lens is too big. Well, you're creating your own camera. You can do whatever size you want. But the good thing about Inventor is you can go back into that extrusion and edit the feature. So pick edit feature, change it back to 20, and now we've got the correct size lens on there. Feel free to add any sorts of zoom lenses, reflective techniques, whatever you want to do to your lens to make this special for you. What I'm going to do is just make it look a little more lensy by creating a new sketch, projecting the geometry of the outside edge of that by clicking on the circle, and you'll see that the white line here turns into a yellow line. Doesn't show up on my screen very well, but I know it's there. There we go, yellow line. Now I'm going to offset that line by dragging it in, clicking on it, and dragging it in, say 5 millimeters. Any size, don't care. I'm going to change that, make it 3 millimeters. That gives me a circle within a circle on the same surface as the front here. We can then extrude, but do a cut. Instead of an add or join, we can do a cut into that center profile, a distance of 3 millimeters, say, and choose that. And now we've got a much more lensy looking lens. You can play with this as much as you want. You've got the idea now. Away we go. We want to create some surface up here with a twisting dial and a shutter button that you're going to press, and perhaps a light or viewfinder up on top. Your choice, your style. My suggestion is stick as close as possible to the way they do it here. And we're going to create on this surface a new sketch. Rotating it using your orbiter, hit the arrow up at the top so it orients the way that looks useful to you. Choose that center rectangle, click anywhere because we're going to locate it afterwards. So click there, and I think it said it was 10 by 10. Alt-Tab will confirm. Wrong, 15 by 15. So we're going to click a button, and then we're going to throw some dimensions on it and change it to 15 by 15. Click, 15, click, 15. Now it's the right size. It's also supposed to be completely centered and 5 millimeters high when we go to create it. We also want it to be 15 off the edge. I don't actually think that is a 15 by 15. I think it's a 10 by 10, and we're just missing some dimensions here. Oh, well, that's easy to correct. Alt-Tab takes us back to our drawing. Click on the dimensions, change it to 10. Click on the dimension, change it to 10. That's better. Now, we're going to dimension from the very center of this to the edge, and come up and make that 15. That's what they were talking about. We also want it centered on here. It's 30 wide. Quick math tells us that from the center to this line should be 15. And that moves it into the center and makes it purple because we know the size of it and we know the location of it. It's all dimensioned. Finish sketch. We want to extrude it. So we're going to click on that. Don't click on this surface. You'll extrude the whole top. Click inside, and we're going to go up 5 millimeters. We have ourselves a button. But wait, what happened to all these items as well? We wanted to bring them up at the same time. As per the previous, we can go back into that extrusion and we can edit it, or a better way is to share the sketch that you use to create that extrusion. By right-clicking on the sketch, you will share it. You can come out to that shared sketch. You can see it's called Sketch 4 in this case. The previous Sketch 4 is used to create this extrusion, and now we can edit this sketch. And we can add more stuff. I think it was going to be a circle located somewhere down here, and the dimension of it was 20. Which I have overshot, hit dimension, drag this out, and write 20. There we go. Wants to be 15 and 15 again. Center to here. Oops. Dimension. Center to here. 15. And center to here. Exactly 15. The reason why that came out exact is because Inventor is a very smart program and assumes you want it symmetrical to the item you just drew on the same sketch. It'll make that assumption for you. It's up to you to change its mind by doing something else. While we're here, I'm going to draw the rectangle starting anywhere up here, and we can place it differently. Instead of that type of rectangle though, I'm going to go to my 2-point rectangle, start it here, drag it down, and touch on the other side. Escape that command by hitting escape. Go to dimension and prepare to dimension the 30 wide object that's 35 from the edge. So we're going to take from this line to this line and come out 30, reducing its size, and then we know that this edge to here is 35 according to the drawing. So we're going to drag this entire object down to 35. What has just happened? It's caused a driven dimension because of where I started it from. It locked it into that point. We'd have to go back and force this dimension by removing the constraint that's at this position here. Shouldn't have actually clicked right on that point. That was an error. What I'm going to do for the purposes of this video is actually just take this off center, so I don't have to go back and correct it. I'm going to go out of the dimension command, escape. I'm going to finish my sketch. I'm going to take this surface now, extrude it up 5, like the other one. Then I'm going to go back and click that sketch again, extrude this section, but take it up 10. Okay, it's off center, I know, but let's just leave it for the purpose of this demonstration. Make yours in the center. You could, in order to cut it off on the angle here at 45 degrees, you could go into that surface, create a sketch on there, and then draw a series of lines that start at the front here, come up at tab 45 degrees, and then circle back and over and close off this way. Finish that sketch, and then use that shape that you drew to negative cut across the object. I'm going to cut all the way across the object like that. I don't want to do it. That's too many steps. So what I'm going to do is go back, delete that sketch, and do it an easier way. And that's by using the chamfer button. Chamfer at the top, set it for 10 millimeters because that's how tall that object is, and simply go in and pick that edge, and it will chamfer it off. Okay, we've got everything we're looking at here. Now, we've got too many dimensions in our way. It's getting sort of crowded up there. We don't need to see them. It's quite simple. All you have to do is go into your sketch and change the visibility on the sketch, and we'll get rid of that for you. To the back. Let's save, we'll call this part 2, and we're going to stop it now, give you a break, and then I'll come back with part 3, and we'll work on the back.